Just, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's racing show is sponsored by RiverviewFamily.com Auto Sales. Go hit them up for all your auto sales needs. Tonight on the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube, we have with us Mr. Blaine Cory. Welcome to the show, Blaine.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, Blaine, how did your racing career get started?
Basically through family. My dad raced sprint cars. My stepfather did, and also built and still builds race engines. My grandma was a drag racer. Both grandpas were drag racers, so it's been a generational deal. It's basically all I've known. So started young in the go-kart deal.
Yeah, when you got behind the wheel for the first time, what was that experience like for you?
Oh man, at this point, I mean, I was 8 years old. I'm 28 now, so I don't remember a whole lot of that exact moment. I was probably a little nervous, to be honest, like everyone is, and if they're not, they're lying to you. So over time, it got a little better. I was pretty young, and eventually started having a lot of fun doing it.
Okay. How much success have you had as a race car driver?
Nothing really on a national level. I mean, I've got a couple high limit heat race wins. That's my claim to fame so far. But more of the local level with non-wing stuff, go-karts, and wing sprint car stuff, 360 stuff here locally. Got a handful of wins and whatnot there. So
Okay.
yeah, I've been all right on a local level.
All right. So, Blaine, what's an awesome day at the racetrack look like for you?
Just being there. I'm really hands-on. I like working on the cars, whether I drive my own stuff or someone else's stuff. So I'm always working on stuff, staying organized. And just I like getting there early and hanging out with, friends, family. I got a lot of friends and family that race, and just people don't like getting to the track early, but I'm kind of weird and like to show up quite a bit early if I can, and just be 110% prepared for the night, and just kind of eases my mind and to go out and talk to friends and hang out for a while before the races start.
Okay. So, Blaine, what's an awesome day at the race shop look like for you?
Well, so the team I drive for two guys, and one of them has his stuff here in my shop. I have my own stuff. I have his stuff at my shop, so we're always messing around working on stuff right on my back door. So that's kind of nice. And then the other shop that I'm mostly race for now is about an hour and a half away from me, and I try and make it up there often, especially in the summer. And sometimes we stop by my house going up and down the road and do maintenance here. And so, I live a pretty normal life, working 9 to 5. So I stay busy doing that, but I've grown up on the mechanics side of things quite a bit. So I like to be hands-on. I can fabricate and TIG weld, and like I said, my stepdad builds race engines for a living, so I'm very involved and get a lot of joy out of working on race cars.
So what's the story behind your racing number? Where did that come from?
Well, currently I don't really have a race number because I'm driving for two different guys. So it's kind of their numbers, but my original number 94. So I was a big Casey Kane fan, still am. I met him in Elma, Washington in about 2008, I think, at a World of Outlaws race. He had his NASCAR on display there at Grays Harbor Raceway, and I thought it was the coolest thing to go watch a NASCAR driver race sprint cars, and see his NASCAR on display. So ever since then, I was hooked after I saw his number 9 Dodge NASCAR. I want to say he was racing for Everham at the time. I could be wrong on that. So I was a big Casey Kane fan. That's where I got the number 9 from, and then also the number 4 came from him racing the Red Bull number 4 car.
Okay. So, Blaine, what do you have for sponsors on your racing team?
Fortunately, I have quite a bit. Currently, the guy I run 410 sprint cars and non-wing cars for is Carl Hofsis, the team owner. He owns Ridgecrest Homes out of the Portland, Oregon area. He builds custom homes, so that's the main sponsor there. And then Sander Engineering Race Wheels helps us out. Justin Sanders with the FK shocks. Elevated Auto Works. He's an auto detailer here in my hometown. I don't have a lot of huge sponsors. Limitless Auto Sales, a car lot here in Medford, Grants Pass area. So I have a lot of I don't have a lot of big sponsors, but they all help. They're all great partners. They make a world of difference, but we're definitely looking out for always for more help. We're trying to do big things here in the next couple of years. Well, next year to start off, but yeah, mostly Ridgecrest Homes is our big sponsor.
Are you presently looking for more sponsors?
Yeah, yeah. So racing. Fortunately, I get to go race for a couple of teams on their dime. I don't pay for it, and so it's a dream come true. But of course, I would like to help their investment, ease their investment a little bit. So we're always looking for sponsors, whether it's big or small or whatever it is. We got big plans ahead in the future with the 410 car, so we're gonna need all the help we can.
Well, how does one get a hold of you to sponsor you?
Really just Facebook. I'm just I don't got anything crazy going on right now. I don't have like a fan page or nothing. We have Ridgecrest Racing, which is the car I currently drive. We have a that Facebook page, but really just my personal page.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to sponsor Blaine or get to know Blaine better, reach out to Ridgecrest Racing or his personal Facebook page to get to know him better or sponsor him.
Yeah.
Okay, so Blaine, who's on your racing crew?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Who's on your racing crew?
Right now it's kind of team manager, crew chief Travis Tomlinson. He runs the team, and Brody Governor, young guy that's really in the last couple of years been catching on really well to working on the sprint car stuff. He's I want to say 16 years old. We're kind of I actually raced for his dad originally and still kind of do sometimes. He's a good friend of mine. That's the other car I have in my personal shop. Um, it's his son, and so we're just trying to mold him into being someone really good on the car that we can take full time next year. And maybe someday if we keep going, he keeps going with us, or he's molded enough to go ahead and work on a high limiter or an outlaw team at some point. So
Okay,
I don't really have a big crew by any means. We are looking for another guy now. You know, granted, we just don't have a big budget to go write a 50, 60, $70,000 salary off to somebody to come full time on the road next year with us. But maybe we can get there someday with sponsors and results and be in a position to have two full time guys along with Travis, the crew chief and team manager.
what is your home racetrack you race on?
It's Southern Oregon Speedway. So, as everyone probably knows, Tanner Holmes, it's his home track too. Tanner lives about 10 minutes away from me. So, that's kind of our home track. They've got a go-kart track there. Me and Tanner grew up racing right next to the big track on the same property. So, yeah, Southern Oregon Speedway in White City, Oregon. I live about a mile and a half away from the track.
What is your most favorite racetrack you've ever raced on?
Ooh, probably Chico. Chico, California, Silver Dollar Speedway. It's I don't know, might not be the most fun place to me, but I think to me, I like a challenge. And to me, someday if I can win a race there, or hopefully win multiple times there, eventually, I think that I can pretty much go anywhere in the country with against anyone and be able to compete, run up front. I think it's just the toughest racetrack there is for the most part. It's kind of a bull ring, and it seems like one of the fastest. I've raced bigger racetracks in the 410 car, but to me, it's so fast for how small it is, and things happen so quick. And one night it can be really slick, and one night it's just cowboy up. You're doing wheelies, you're running into the cushion, you're biking up. So it's probably the most challenging, but we got a really good one. Douglas County Speedway. They do a high limit race once a year there, and it's considered one of my home tracks too. They're about an hour north of me, and it's kind of like a Tulare. It to me is really fun. So it's the most success I've had in my racing career so far is there actually. And you can run the wall really hard, roll the bottom really slow. It's a very technical track. So Roseburg's probably my favorite for the fun aspect, but Silver Dollar Speedway is to me one I really would like to be good at, because I feel like if I get good there, I'm probably able to be really good in a lot of other tracks.
Okay, are you pretty good about reading the racetrack?
Reading the racetrack? Yeah. Um, I feel like that's one of my natural abilities, I would say. I just that's the thing in a sprint car. If there's 1 inch of moisture on the track and that's it, you got to be right there. You got to put your tires in it, and that's the fastest way around most of the time. Being able to just see lines. My dad came from, when he was younger, asphalt racing before he went sprint car racing, and that has kind of taught me a lot. Granted, I didn't race asphalt carts, but just his knowledge, and then doing rental cart stuff, and going out and having fun and learning different lines on the road course asphalt stuff, and seeing your times change. And so it helps you with racing lines on the oval, dirt track, like diamonding or sliding yourself or whatever it is to make up time, just running weird lines some nights. So yeah, I would say that's one of my abilities that's good, is being able to see where the track's at very well.
All right. Do you like a wet, heavy track, a dry, dusty track, or right in the center?
Uh, you know, it's I wouldn't call myself much of a cowboy, but it seems like every time we've had a rough cowboyed up track that's just brutal, I've excelled on it. I don't really like it, but it does get me excited sometimes, because I feel like I just for some reason am able to figure it out and be good on it. But really, I mean, 2 lanes. I don't care if it's kind of hooked up or it's really slick or what it is. I prefer more on the slick side, but definitely just as long as there's two racing grooves. I find a lot of times a lot of tracks are really cool, but at the end of the night, it's like, you either had to run the wall for 25, 30 laps straight, and that's it. You couldn't roll the bottom, or you were just stuck on the bottom and it was clean on the bottom, and that's all you were getting. So preferably just one with two racing grooves at least.
Okay. Is there any big racing event you're looking forward to racing in coming up?
Um, yeah, I don't know if events specifically, but we haven't really publicly said it. I don't have a huge following by any means, so it doesn't really matter, but we're planning on running the NARC series. I don't know if you've know what that is, follow
Yeah,
along
I've
with the
heard of that.
410
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, so we're planning on running full-time NARC for Rookie of the Year 410s. So we'll do that, and as long as everything's going all right, we're gonna run, I think it's 10 high limit shows that come through the West Coast from, Central California up. Probably really looking forward to basically Gold Cup at Chico high limit. Um, and then Roseburg's high limit race, just because it's what I would say is a hometown track at Douglas County Speedway, and I've been pretty good there on a local level. And then Dirt Cup, I've ran Skagit one time in a 410 on a local night, and that was really fun. I like that place, but I'm just excited to get the high limit race up there and race for a few days straight and really kind of try to learn as much as I can how to get around that place. Hopefully, I have a little luck on my side, but just excited for that event there. A little cooler weather than Gold Cup. So yeah, probably Gold Cup, Chico, High Limit, Douglas County, and then the 3 days of High Limit up in Skagit.
When you're strapped in your race car, get ready to go on the racetrack. What helps get you psyched up and motivated to go out and do this?
Sorry, what's that?
When you're strapped in your race car, getting ready to go on the racetrack, what helps get you psyched up and motivated to go out and do this?
I'm a pretty calm person. It kind of probably goes back to where like you know, there's some drivers that don't want you to talk to them when you're in the car or even at the trailer in your pit. And I love talking to people. I think that's actually I'm a little different than most people. I like to relax a lot and not overthink it. So I don't really get too psyched up now. When you're rolling, there's been a couple times where I've rolled four wide in a high limit show. And that gets me pretty excited in the moment. But I try not to get too amped up actually, because you can overthink it so easy and think about what you need to do and how to do it and where to run and this and that before you roll on the racetrack. And to me, that just doesn't work. Like by the time you roll out on that racetrack and you hit the ignition switch and that car fires off, I mean, there's no telling, especially in a 410 car, what's going to happen. You just got to try and keep it in control and run the right groove and make the right decisions. So I would say I'm actually pretty calm. I just try and you know grab the phone and watch flow, what's going on the racetrack before I roll out and see who's running where and what the track's kind of looking like, and just breathe and not keep my heart rate up and not get um, I wouldn't say nervous as in like a scared way, but you can overthink and make yourself a little nervous on what's going on out there on the racetrack.
So, okay, Blaine. So, okay. What's the best piece of advice you've gotten as a race car driver?
Ooh, I might be a little stubborn, so I don't know if I've really taken much advice throughout time. I think it's just, one of those things. I kind of relate it to welding. I do a lot of welding, and people ask me how to do it and this and that, and I can't really almost give them. I can give them a couple of pointers, but it's to me one of those things. The more you sit down and do it, the better you get. So, someone can tell you how to do this and how to do that, but it goes back to once you hit that ignition switch, turn the fuel on and hit the ignition switch and that thing fires off. There's just no telling. You're not thinking about what so and so told you or anything. And when it really comes to advice, the biggest thing is probably my dad. He was a really good race car driver, and a red comes out, and I pull up on the right spot, and he's there, and he kind of, sometimes he'll tell me like, "Hey, you're running the wrong groove. Like these guys are fast here," and maybe I wouldn't have thought about it. And that's pretty much the only advice that I really take in is in the moment on the racetrack or under a yellow if I see them doing a hand signal to move around. But other than that, to me, it's just about getting out there and making laps and trying to race as much as you can throughout the year and learning.
What kind of advice would you give a new race car driver?
Ooh, probably to be very mechanically involved. Understand your race car as much as you can. Well, just understand the whole race car and try and learn what, shocks and torsion bars and ride heights and just everything kind of does. I don't know if anybody can tell you really exactly what it does, but get the idea as much as you can, because to me, I'm very mechanical and like the setup and the mechanics of the race car, and I think that can help you maybe make up for, if you're there's very few Corey Days and Kyle Larsons that just have such crazy natural talent that the best thing you can do is at least try and make up for it in the shop, basically, and at the racetrack, working on your car and preparing it and setting it up. So just the work ethic, you know, and I've learned that over time. Like I worked for Jason Johnson on the Outlaw Tour for a few months, and at the end of the day, the biggest thing I took out of that was just the professionalism he had and the preparation in the shop and in the hotel parking lots before you got to the racetrack, and just making sure your stuff is, 110% ready to go and you're not lacking anywhere, and you know, just being prepared.
Okay. Who are some of your friends at the racetrack?
Who are some of my friends at the racetrack?
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, most of my friends that I know are from starting in go-karts and racing. I got Jake Wheeler. He's one of my best friends that we race, 360s and 410s together. Really everyone I race with. I know, fortunately, I know so many people on a local level, and kind of started to meet new people too, racing some NARC shows last year and high limit and stuff like that. So that's almost a tough question because I really, in my general day to day, everyone I know is friends from racing.
Okay. So Blaine, okay. What do you like to do for fun outside the racetrack?
Um, I like to ride my dirt bike in the winter. In the off season, we have great mountain riding here in Oregon. Great trail system. You can ride days on end and never go over the same spot. Just 15 minutes away from my house. And I like to snowboard. I like to go play in the snow. Um, and I can't really do much more, especially like this year, this winter, we're building race cars and outfitting the trailer and just doing, it's almost busier in the winter working on getting ready for the next race season than anything. So basically just riding dirt bikes and snowboards and hanging out with my kid.
Okay. Blaine, all right. So do you have any crazy racing stories you'd like to share with us?
Oh, crazy racing stories. I that's a tough one. I don't have the best memory, unfortunately. I'm only 28 and I have a terrible memory about a lot of racing stuff, but no, just just the good times of just fortunate to do what I've done, I guess. Just like working for Jason, like I said earlier, Johnson for a little bit there, and kind of, I was young and dumb and didn't really, I kind of took it for granted, but looking back, I'm glad I got that experience. And I've been to so many races as a race fan, aside from driving, that's just really hard to say. I mean, I don't want to, of course, the memories of me having great wins and stuff like that and great races, battles with one of my best friends, and those are always great. So yeah, I don't really have any specific crazy memories.
Okay. What's your favorite part about being a race car driver?
Um, just being competitive. I don't. Everyone says they're out doing it to have fun, and yeah, you want to keep it fun, but I like to go out and win. And really, I feel like natural driving ability. I can be there someday. I'm not the youngest like these kids coming up that are 14, 15 years old. It seems like racing 410 sprint cars already. But I've raced 360s for a handful of years now, and finally this last year got an opportunity with the Ridgecrest team to race a 410, and they've got really nice equipment. So, my favorite part is right now just being excited to get a bunch of races under my belt and hopefully, you know, be able to show my natural ability. Like last year it was nothing to most people, but just like I say, I got to, I won two high limit heat races. And made a couple of high limit A mains. Was in a dash for high limit, qualified sixth in one of the high limit races. Qualified, had a second and a third qualifying with NARC series. And I mean, I only raced 12 410 races last year. So that was a big confidence builder. And that's what keeps me excited, I guess, is to think back like, well, I only raced a 410 12 times, and to most fans that's not a big deal to win those heat races and stuff, but to me that is, and kind of gives me the hope that um, the more laps I get and figuring out how to complete put together a whole race, a whole A main. I started sixth at Douglas County for the Highland race, which shocked me myself. I'm not doubting my abilities, but it shocked me really. And I dropped like a fly kind of in the A main just because those guys, his pace is just crazy. But I'm excited to learn that pace and try and put myself in those spots and stay up front and see what I can do. Like last year, I had a perfect opportunity to probably run top five with High Limit, which was amazing to me. And considering we're just kind of a local team out of Oregon, I kind of blew that, but that was almost expected. I wasn't doubting myself, but those guys are just so tough to race with. So hopefully taking that momentum a little bit into next year, starting next year, race with NARC and really just get a lot of laps with the NARC guys. I think that in my opinion, the NARC series is really the one of the best series in the country outside of High Limit and World of Outlaws. I think it basically goes, you have High Limit, World of Outlaws, NARC, and like the Pennsylvania guys, all stars. But other than that, I mean, I think if you can win and run up front regularly with just NARC, you have a good shot, at least on the West Coast, running up front with High Limit or when the Outlaws come through. So that's long story long. What keeps me excited is running NARC and just trying to. I feel like I've got a natural ability to drive a race car and try and prove that. Not that I need to prove it to anybody, but prove it to myself.
Do you have a racing nickname?
I don't. I think some people have tried to give me a nickname, but I don't know if I don't want to say too humble, but whatever the right word is, I just I can't really get along with that. And I kind of shut it down. It'd be maybe different if, I was winning every race like a Cory Day or Kyle Larson and some announcer gave it to me. But no, I don't really have a racing nickname.
Who's your racing hero?
Ooh, probably, I kind of have a lot. Like I said, Casey Kane, Donnie Schatz to me, he's a big one. Darren Pittman, man, all those guys, Saldana, there's so many of them. It's really hard to say a specific one. Tyler Walker. I mean, I hope I haven't heard about him in a little while since the whole deal when he drove for, I think Rutherford in Pennsylvania. I hope he's doing all right. But, Tyler Walker, he was, a badass race car driver. So I have too many to list.
Have you met a bunch of those guys?
I mean, I guess I've met him getting an autograph and whatnot, but I've actually been to a lot of outlaw races and just a lot of races in general as a fan and got to watch those guys race. I've been to outlaw races on the West Coast since I was, basically born really. Because my whole family was so involved in it. My dad raced 410 sprint cars back in the day and 360s. So I've seen even the old, Mark Kinzer, Steve Kinzer, that era race quite a bit too. So I've seen a couple of generations or eras of 410 sprint car racers.
What are your future goals as a race car driver?
Um, I don't know. I would like to be a contender at least right now with NARC at some point, just because it's on the West Coast and it's at this point feasible that that's what we're gonna do. So I know we're gonna run the NARC series. I don't expect next year, I hope we have some good runs. That's the goal, but just to work through next year and work to being consistent with NARC, and then maybe run if everything works out, with the team and they still want to do it, run a second year with NARC and get really polished up to running, say being a top five contender a lot of nights and if not top 10 consistently for sure. So just running up front with NARC because it just falls back on, I think if you can run up front with, Sanders and Golubic and, Bud Kading and Selzy and, those guys, Bloomfield, if you can run up with those guys, when a national tour comes through, or you want to venture out and travel to the Midwest or all the way to the East Coast, I think that it, being able to run with them carries a lot of confidence, and to hoping that you can run with up front with High Limit or Outlaws or Pennsylvania Posse.
Okay, so at this portion of the show, Blaine, I'd like to turn the mic over to my guest. If you have a couple questions you'd like to ask me, you can ask me a couple questions.
Um, so yeah, you're from Iowa,
Yes.
and what's your? I know they do a lot of stock car stuff over there, and um, obviously there's Knoxville and whatnot, but are you around a lot of stock car stuff or sprint car? What's
A
your?
lot of dirt, a lot of dirt stuff, a lot of dirt stuff. We have Jackson Motorplex around us.
Okay.
We have Houston Speedway. Um, yeah, and then also trying to think sprint car stuff. But yeah, there is sprint car tracks around. We have um up a little ways north of us and to the east of us we have Beaver Dam Raceway.
Okay, yeah, I've been to
Yeah,
been to Houston. I've been to Beaver Dam. I haven't raced there,
yeah,
but just from
yeah,
working on Jason's deal. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then of course Knoxville, and then um, IMCA stuff. There's a lot of IMCA stuff out here. IMCA dirt stuff.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, one of
Yeah,
my friends, Tom Barry Jr. I don't know if you probably have heard
yeah,
of
yeah.
Tom
Oh yeah,
Barry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah, so he used to live in the same hometown as me before he went on his venture of life, racing life over there in Iowa.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I don't follow a lot of stock car stuff, but I follow Tom and what he's doing, and it's been a pretty cool deal to see him go over there and do that the last handful of years.
Oh yeah. Yep, yep. Do you have any other questions for me?
Um, I don't. You obviously, so you said you follow along with Narc a little bit,
Yes.
and High Limit and World of Outlaws too,
Oh
I'm
yeah. Oh
guessing,
yeah.
or
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were more leaning on the stock car side or the sprint car side, or if you
No,
kind
no,
of,
no. I enjoy it all. I enjoy it all.
okay, yeah, yeah. I like that. Yep. Yeah, I have a lot of stock car friends that I keep up on, here in the hometown area, but Tom's definitely the one that kind of came out of our area, my hometown, and has been making it big, I would say, for the last handful of years.
Okay. So Blaine, do you have anybody else you'd like to thank you for helping you get this far of your racing career?
Uh, just man, it's so many people. I mean, anyone that has done anything, you never know in life, and it's just like it seems like it's chain reacted. I never thought I'd be here. Kind of one of those things. Like I said earlier, it's like all these young kids, whether it's rent a ride kids or just naturally talented kids, it's like they're getting rides in a 410 sprint car already, and they're 15, 16 years old. And I'm 28 now. I've been racing for a long time, but only on a local level. And this last year was the first time I've gotten a chance to race at higher levels, race a 410 for the first time. Next thing you know, it's like now we're going into this off season and building the team up more, and getting ready to run NARC Rookie of the Year. And so, yeah, I just, my parents really, for putting me in a go-kart from day one, and my stepdad for building most all of my race engines throughout time. And, my dad for keeping me motivated too, looking up to him because he was a 410 sprint car racer, 360 sprint car racer. And Brandon Governor, he owns the local car that I drove before this 410 car, and sometimes when I get a break, I still drive the local car. But he's one of my good friends, and it's just weird how life works. I don't think if he wouldn't have put me in his car and gave me the chance when he met me, he knew I raced and said, "Hey, do you want to drive my car?" And I did for 3 years, and we had good success, I would say, and that's how I got recognized and picked up for the team I'm driving for now. So, Brandon Governor made a huge difference. Maybe if he would have never offered me to drive his stuff and keep racing, because I couldn't afford it on my own anymore. I still have all my stuff, but he gave me that opportunity at a local level, and we raced quite a bit, and that's where I got noticed the last couple of years, and that's where the Ridgecrest team, gave me the opportunity one night after I won a local race to come race their stuff. So yeah, big thanks to Brandon Governor. But there's just so many people that help out, especially obviously with the 5K car that I'm driving now, Ridgecrest, Carl Hofsis. I mean, he didn't know me at all, and he is taking the chance on me, and it's been great because he knows that I'm not coming from winning, a bunch of outlaw or high limit races or narc races even, and he knows that it's going to take a little time, and he's given me that opportunity. He could have went and hired, someone like Zeb Wise that is talented and doesn't have a ride right now, and he didn't. So massive appreciation to Carl Hofstas, Ridgecrest Homes, that owns the 5K team, and Travis Tomlinson that runs the team and is the crew chief. And he's really the one who spotted me and, came to me one night after the races and said, "Hey, you want to come drive the 5K car?" And I said, "Yeah." And it's been great ever since then. The first night I drove the 5K car, I actually that was one of the worst crashes I've ever had, going for the lead, and thought I was going to get fired the first night I drove it because I completely junked their stuff, and they believed in me because they saw the speed that I had and gave me another opportunity, and ended up racing the whole year of that. And so, yeah, it's a dream come true. I'm just a normal guy, I have a kid, I work 9 to 5 basically, a regular job, and um, I don't come from, money. I don't have a rent a ride situation going on or nothing like that. And so it's great. I couldn't do this on my own budget at all. And so couldn't be more thankful for the spot that I'm in. It's amazing. I always dreamed of running a 410 sprint car one time. That's all I wanted to do. And I got to run like 12 or 13 races last year in a 410. And now we're looking at, 30 to possibly 40 races next year.
So, Blaine, I'd like to thank you for being on our racing show tonight, talking to us about your racing career. I will have you step out and I will give you a call in just a little bit to thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Blaine Cory on our racing show tonight, talking to us about his racing career. Go hit him up on his social media pages to sponsor him or get to know him better. Or if you'd like to sponsor us or be on our racing show, feel free to call us or text us at 712-209-73, or you can email us at jjnolan151@gmail.com. Have a good night, everybody.